Hello everybody, this is Furnace Bobbin here, and welcome back to F1 2015. So, the past two races have been, well, rubbish, honestly. Even now, even now, we're still 14th in the point standings, despite the fact that we got 1 point in that race, and Nico Rosberg is still in the race lead, so we are now officially about 1.5 race behind Nico Rosberg, so, but it's gonna take us, well, quite a few races actually to get up there. So, the first race we lost because we simply ran out of fuel, and the next race, the previous race we lost because, well, simply because we got a tire puncture and we couldn't undo that. So, yeah, all of both races we threw all of our progress out the window. So now we are going to Bahrain, which is better than the previous 2 tracks that we drove on, but not by very much. So we're just gonna have to see what we're gonna do this race. We got 1 shot qualifying, 25% race length, and of course this are the same as the previous race, so you can just just take a look at those. No Russell with me today. Still haven't, I'm recording this race right after I just recorded the second one, or actually not just after. After I finished recording the previous race, I took a shower because I was sweating to death, and then I watched a few other YouTube videos while having lunch. But now I'm ready to record the next episode.
It's 6 o'clock and qualifying is about to begin. Before the cars take to the track to start qualifying, who are you expecting to have a good session today?
Well, I certainly think Sebastian will be strong here. He really loves this circuit, and as long as he has the car performance, you can expect him to be right up there challenging for pole.
So that's when Vettel drove for Red Bull. Okay, so we'll go with option tire. Oh, whoopsie-daisy, I forgot to... Hang on. Can I not exit back to the main menu? That's so dumb. Okay, now we're back in this menu again, so now this time let's load our car setup. Once again, I've made a custom setup for this race, and will actually be doing so for every single race this season. So this way I'm slightly better. Now my thing's wrapped around. Why? Alright, here we go. For qualifying. Let's see if I can actually start on pole for this race. This is a track that's actually designed by Herman Tilke. Although I guess it's one of Tilke's better tracks. That's not saying very much considering how rubbish the rest of the tracks have been this season. Australia had too many stupid turns. Malaysia was pretty much the same story. This one is a little bit more straight, but at the same time the curves are very sharp and you have to go as slow as a snail through them to just make the corner. Because apparently, I guess Formula 1 these days just wants to see the fastest cars in the world going really slow. I've lost the whole... Don't worry, we'll get it back. That corner was ruined. That almost was a good corner, but I messed it up. Okay, never mind. I'm in the lead now. That was bad. Well, we're gonna get the pole, at least. That was actually kind of easy, but hey, I'll take it. First pole of the season.
What a session it's been for Mercedes today. They've locked the front row of the grid for tomorrow's race.
They've really worked hard this weekend, and it seems they've been able to set up the cars perfectly today. Whether this will translate into race pace tomorrow, well, we'll just have to wait and see.
And we have managed to qualify on pole. That's our first pole of the season. Let's see now if we can hold our position and win the race. And actually get some points. Because I need them. Badly. This will be going into the race introduction in a minute.
It's nearly 6 o'clock in the evening here in Sakir, and that means it's nearly time for the Bahrain Grand Prix. With over 30 P1s to his name, Lewis Hamilton's already one of the most successful pole sitters in Formula One history. But he's added to that impressive tally this weekend, and today he'll be hoping he can add another win to his record as well.
There are a lot of variables that can cause a driver to be happy with the car one day to struggling with it the next. Track temperature, excessive tyre wear, or a change of fuel load can all affect the feel of the car. He'll definitely be hoping that when the race gets underway, he's got the same balance as he enjoyed in qualifying.
The Williams team will be quietly confident that they can find a way to get Valtteri Bottas to his first race win today. The car's been performing really well this weekend.
Valtteri really is shaping up to be a star of Formula One for a long time to come. His first race win will be a magical moment when it happens, but will it be today? I think that will be tough.
Well, today's going to be hopefully our first one of the season. We'll take a look at the race strategy. Yeah, I guess we can't really change anything. 14 lap race. This race is going to be an interesting one. It's our first pole position.
Let's go for the win today.
And yeah, it's illegal for the win. Alright, first pole of the season. I'm going to go with high revs off of the start. I think the power band is greater in the higher gears. I'm not sure. Are we going to neutral? Wow. Okay, we go with high revs for lap 1. Already in front. Okay, we have something stuck on us. Okay, that was a bit alarming. Could be worse. Though. Okay, let's not lose the lead already.
We shouldn't see any rain, but if a storm front does appear, then I'll let you know.
Okay. Some said there might be a storm front later in this race. Hopefully that's not the case. Well, actually I wouldn't mind it. Because we would still be running well. Actually, yeah, the reason why we actually lost the last race is because we got a tire puncture. Although we shouldn't get one in this race because there's no grass anywhere, so we can't drive over any sharp surfaces. So for this race, we should be good in terms of tires. And we're hopefully good in terms of everything. Okay, so we're just gonna stay in low revs for now. Although when DRS kicks in, we'll definitely have some work to do. That was a that was a hop. So for right now, I'm gonna attempt to pull away, but Rosberg is gonna catch up to us when we reach into DRS. Yeah, because the reason why we didn't have any DRS in the last race, I believe, was because of the rain. But this race, it's completely dry. So there will be DRS eventually later in the race. So I don't know really, I'm not entirely sure what that's gonna really mean. I hope, however, that we, you know, well, it's gonna cause Rosberg to catch up to us. Starting on lap number 3, maybe? I'm not sure. We are at least in the lead for now. I hope to be there at the end. It's not gonna be an easy task though. Yeah, I actually remember when I did this race way back in 2016, it was a very boring race, that one, mainly because I set the difficulty to be very easy, and so it was a boring race. This race, however, won't be boring because, well, there are several reasons. Firstly, because of DRS, I actually have control over that. Yep, there's DRS. Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, you can only use DRS if you're 1 second behind somebody. However, in this case, actually, tell a lie. If I get far enough ahead of Nico Rosberg, he won't be able to use DRS. Meaning that if I continue to pull away, I'm good. Maybe this race will be boring, but you know what? I actually want this race to be boring, because then I'll be able to win. So, actually, yeah, please let this race be boring. Please, please. I quite like a boring race right now. We've had too much excitement in the previous 2 races. We need this one to be boring, so this way I can actually win and not throw all my progress out the window like I did in the previous 2 races. I think Rosberg is right behind me. He's catching up. Only slightly, though.
Our tyre data is looking positive so far. We think there's plenty of life left in these for the moment.
Also, my brake bias. That's an interesting thing. I'm actually gonna wait till later on to mess around with that. Actually, I think my crew chief will tell me when I can apply brake bias. I actually tried to practice that earlier today, and actually, now wait till my crew chief tells me. Alright. My pit window has been open for a while. But the main focus is keeping ahead. Yeah, if we get far enough away from Rosberg, we'll be good. We may set the par with Lewis Hamilton in real life. You know, Lewis Hamilton usually does this good in real life, does he? Well, when he's leading, of course he is. Although this is a Herman Tilke track, so it's certainly not an easy one. Although I think it is one of Tilke's easier tracks. I certainly wouldn't say better tracks. Although it is one of his easier tracks. I'll say that. I won't say better, I'll say easier. You know? Just because the track is easy doesn't mean it's good. Because what makes a track good if it has flow, if it has character, if it has... Well, no, it doesn't even need character. It just needs to provide a good race. It needs to have flow. It needs to have excitement. It needs to have basically everything that Spa-Francorchamps has. Well, you know, a track doesn't necessarily need to be legendary to be good. It just needs to be well, good really. You know, that reminds me of a YouTuber known as Southpaw Racer. Yeah, Southpaw Racer, he's an interesting person on YouTube. He does pretty cool racing related videos. You know, I remember in one of his videos he said that one day he might do a video on what makes a track good versus what makes a track bad. I actually kind of do want to post that video because while these days I have a pretty good grasp for... Okay, now it's my time to put my brake bias in the rear, so I'm gonna do that on this straight here. Oh. Okay, there's more. Oh, there's more settings you can change. Yeah, I'm trying to use the D-pad, although you can only really change things when you're on a straightaway because I would hate to let my hand or let my thumb off of the analog stick. Because then I'll have to let my car steer itself for a while, which would be very bad, especially going through a corner. But apparently you can't change your fuel settings. I just realized, because when I was actually doing some time trials earlier, and it turns out that only in time trial you can actually change the brake bias, whereas in a race you can actually change stuff like the fuel and the other things. I didn't actually know that before, and I kind of wish I knew that going into Australia. Then I wouldn't have ran out of fuel. But of course I only know now. Over the corner again. Good job, Frontal Bobbin. Okay, I guess you don't get a warning from there. Surprisingly, I've gotten 0 warnings in this race. Okay, there's now good thingy jiggy rear bias. Okay. Alright, put my brake bias to the rear. Does that make it turn better? Sort of. It turns better. But certainly doesn't make it certainly not any easier. Rosberg is way behind us. Alright, so I'll just pit when my crew chief tells me to. So I don't pit too early or too late. Okay, why is my car vibrating like that? Is it just because of the way I'm turning, or is it something within the car? Because damage is turned off, because I'm too scared to incur any damage in F1 2015 here, because I'm just, you know, I'm scared, but,
There's about a lap's worth of spare fuel in the car. You won't be able to run in mix 3 for long with that much, but do burn it if you need to.
okay. Oh yeah, I went to neutral, that was bad. Yep, I put my brake pads to the rear, yeah, my car is still hard to drive. Yeah, I can pretty much use up all the fuel in the world, but I'm going to choose not to for now. Just in case the worst happens. You know? I think you can go 5 laps.
I'm definitely seeing some signs of abrasion on your tyres now. They should still be good to roll, but they won't be at their best.
Okay. Yeah, so I'll pit when my crew chief tells me to. And just did there. I shall indeed box then. And by box, I mean drive on the pit road. Ah, there's pit road. And just speed right on in. Alright. Okay, Rosberg is flying by us, but he's gonna have to pit next lap, so we're good.
Release, release.
Alright, here we go.
Look after these tyres now. We want to finish the race on this compound.
Okay, this pit lane exit is a bit stupid. But whatever.
Rosberg's just taken first place.
Okay, so we are in 5th right now, but eventually Rosberg and everyone's going to pit, so we're back in 1st place. So, we're in 5th, but we won't be here for long. Eventually, as soon as Rosberg pits, we'll be back there in 1st. Or back up there in 1st.
Tyre temperatures are good.
Yeah, this track, it's definitely easier to drive than Australia and Malaysia, those tracks. I don't actually know the correct names, like, but, actually, I think the Australian track is known as Albert Parker, I think, or something like that. I heard noise. Hang on. Okay, it's just me. But yeah, so we can't really drive off the track anywhere, so we won't be incurring any tire punctures. And more importantly, I am shifting better, so I won't be using up all my fuel. Oh, although you see the icon on the car icon on the tachometer, how it's red. Is that good or bad? Or anything in between? Oh, maybe it's just something. Yep, everyone's on the road, including Rosberg, and we are now straight back up to 1st. Now all we need to do now is remain there for the rest of the race. That was a bad corner entry. Yeah. I guess getting the pole is key in these races. I've definitely learned some things about this game in the first 2 races. This one, I may actually win. Yep, I'm a total of 2 seconds behind Rosberg, so this race is basically just going to be a Lewis Hamilton show, where we lead every single lap in the race, and basically we're there in the finish. Yeah, this is definitely one of Tilka's easier tracks because, you know, in Australia and Malaysia, I was complaining about how tight the turns were and just how stupidly rubbish they just were, but this track at least, it's more drivable. Yeah. I mean, there are... Oh, don't drive on the grass. There are obviously a couple of stupid turns here and there, but for the most part, more of the track is drivable. And that's the type of racetrack I prefer. I obviously, you should know this by now, I prefer racetracks where they're actually drivable and not ones that are just full of turns where you have to just, where you have to turn in really hard and stuff. That's stupid. This track doesn't have too many of those, and I can actually drive the track without having to rage and without having to worry about crashes and stuff. In fact, I'm just pulling away in this race now. I've quit the gap over Hamilton. That was a bad turn, though. Still have a good lead on Rosberg. Yeah, we haven't been able to use DRS in this race. I think the main contributing reason to that is because of the fact that, you know, we're nowhere near anybody, and you have to be 1 second behind somebody to actually use DRS. In which case, if you're not, then well, DRS simply isn't usable, and to be honest, not really needed. Well, actually, yeah, halfway through a fuel load. We're basically good. I can now just redline and we'll still finish the race, although I would rather be cautious. So, I guess now let's just cruise on to the finish. And as we come off the final turn, in the most predictable way imaginable, we win the Grand Prix of Bahrain. Finally, after 2 tragedies, today is a triumph as we win in Bahrain.
No doubt about the driver of the day today. It's Lewis Hamilton, whose Mercedes was just too strong for the opposition. It's another win for the British driver.
You can't fault their commitment today. They really pushed hard and were rewarded with a race win. Fantastic achievement.
It was great having you with us for this weekend. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. Until next time, though, goodbye.
So finally, in the F1 2014 season, we finally managed to do something right after the amount of sausagery that occurred in the first 2 races of the season. We now are first in the point standings after much sausagery, to say the least. Yeah, so and also we managed to hold our position, got the pole, and won the race. How was that possible? Well, good question. And we're up to 4th place in the standings, and we are, however, achievement, clean club. You have completed a championship season race without flying another car object. Huh, interesting. Nice to know. So we're 4th place in standings. However, we're still quite a bit of ways behind Nico Rosberg, Vettel, and Fernando Alonso, but we will at least try to overtake Alonso in the point standings in the next race. We can only see what happens then. Well, that's pretty much all there is to do in this video, as we just load back to the menu. So first let's take a look at where we're going to next. China. Oh dear. China. That track got a super serious track guide. 1 lap around that track is painful enough. But 14 laps around it? Oh dear. Next race will either be another domination or a complete sausage show. We can only see what happens then. And China. But anyways, well, that's all for this video. It's nice to have a video under the 30-minute length after the previous 2 videos were very, very long ones. This one's a bit shorter. But anyways, guys, that is all for this video. Hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you in the next video at China. That one will be interesting.